Hey, welcome everyone to a review of the Sennheiser MOMENTUM 4 wireless headphones. Now if you want to see the written version of this review, you can find a link to my website in the video description. So let's dive straight into the review because these are, in my opinion, super stellar headphones. You might want to stick around for the entire review to find out why. So let's start with the price. So here in Canada, it's priced at $500 retail, although you can find it without a sale at $420. So when it does go on sale, it's even cheaper than that. Whereas in the United States, it's $380 retail price, and it's pretty typical what you find at most places without a sale. Now Sennheiser calls them wireless headphones, which they are, but there's actually more connectivity options available. So one is wireless, which we'll get back to. Another is two wired options, which is rather unique. The first being a auxiliary cable, which is 2.5 to 3.5 millimeter connection. The 2.5 connection goes into the headphones itself, 3.5 to the other device you're connected to, obviously. And that cable coming out of the box is approximately 48 inches in length, and the end of the cable is an L shape. The other wired option is the USB-C cable. That's right, you can use it for charging and also data transfer, which means playing audio through the headphones themselves. For wireless technology, it uses Bluetooth 5.2, and Sennheiser advertises a range of about 32 feet. In my testing, is able to actually get 50 feet. And that's with two walls in between the connection, and before it started to give me any type of trouble. Now it does support dual connectivity. What that means is you connected two devices at the same time. So a great example in my scenario is to have one device as a computer, a second as a cell phone. And if you're playing content and media on the computer and your cell phone rings, you can immediately swipe to answer the call and it will pause the media on my computer, which is a great feature. Now, it's rare, very rare, but it has happened a couple of times that I will connect to the first device after turning it on, and I try to connect to my computer as a second device, and it won't do it. I had to turn off the headphones, turn it back on, and then it connect just fine. Again, in my testing of several weeks, this only happened twice, but the fact that it happened is kind of a bummer. According to Sennheiser documentation, you can connect up to 6 devices and keep them in memory on these headphones, which basically means that you can connect it to 6 devices and not have to repair them all over again. In my testing, I was able to get up to 4 devices, which is going to be plenty for most people. At this price tag, there's a fair amount of accessories included. The primary one, of course, is being the hard carrying case, which is great for people that travel. The mentioned 2.5 to 3.5 auxiliary cable, a plain adapter for the auxiliary cable, and a USB-A to USB-C cable, which is rather unfortunate because this should have been pure USB-C, but alas, it's not, so I'll have to be stuck with what it is. And that USB cable that comes with the headphones is measuring in about 48 inches. There's no power adapter included in the box, as Sennheiser will expect you to use your own that maybe comes with your cell phone, or perhaps just connect it directly into a computer for charging, which is what I typically do. These are sleek but plain looking headphones. It's not really a bad thing, it's just that they have a very minimalistic design. One notable thing that I do like is a touch of fabric on the top of the headband on the exterior part. This is very reminiscent of the Jabra Elite 85H headphones, which is Jabra's premium headphones. A link to that review will be in the video description. But going back to the MOMENTUM 4, they do have an attractive design, but in my opinion, it's a step back from the MOMENTUM 3, which is a very combination type of design of retro and modern, which I thought looked really unique and cool. There's one major advantage, in my opinion, though, for the MOMENTUM 4 over the previous version. The previous version would collapse and fold in, which I know some people that travel like that, although it doesn't really make much sense. These headphones do not collapse in, which is good because it makes the body rather strong. It's a rather strong, firm body, which is good, great for durability and traveling. The other thing about traveling is that why do you need collapsing headphones? You know, if you're not going to use them when you're traveling through an airport or whatever, just put them on your neck. Simple as that. You don't have to collapse them and put them in your case, which is a pain in the butt. While on my neck, looking left and right, they do kind of rub against my chin ever so slightly. Not a big deal, but it's there. Looking down is very comfortable and very easy. And again, when I'm actually reaching my hotel, that's the only time I put them in my case, but I'm not concerned about folding because I'm not using them anymore at that point. They're in my case. In terms of comfort, man, they feel fantastic. I can wear them for 3 hours straight, no problem. No sweaty ears, no irritation. My ears do not get warm. It's just pure comfort bliss. Now, I have also tested these with non-prescription glasses for 2 hours straight. So with glasses, they're incredibly comfortable as well. So if you are wearing something like that, you're in for a treat. I think there's a few reasons for the excellent comfort design. One is that the headband flex isn't too tight. It's pretty fair. It's not too tight, but it's good. The other thing is that the ear cushioning on the ear cups are thick and soft. They feel just simply great on the head. Also, on the interior of the headband, there's a decent amount of cushioning. So if you have next to no hair or no hair at all, it'll be very comfortable to wear. Now, when it comes to working out, yeah, they work well in the sense that they hardly move at all. They're great in that sense. but I don't recommend them. As comfortable as they are, they'll get very uncomfortable because they're over-the-ear headphones. So when you're working out, your ears will sweat like crazy. Now the headphones do come in two colors. One is black, which is obviously I'm reviewing, and another is in a white color. Now they're a little heavy, weighing 293 grams, which is a little heavier than the XM5s from Sony. But honestly, when you're wearing them on your head, they're not that bad. They feel, again, very comfortable. In case you are wondering, it specifically says in the manual for these headphones, they are not dust and water resistant, so try not to get them wet at all, otherwise you risk damaging the units permanently. Although if you do damage the ear cushions themselves, Sennheiser does sell official replacement ear cushionings you can buy from their website. The headband adjustment uses a slider mechanism, is not in notches, and the length can get pretty decent. In terms of the ear cup rotation, they can go up, down, forward, and back, which is great to accommodate various size and shapes of heads. In regards to the control, all primary controls are only on the right ear cup. There's only one physical button on the right ear cup, which is a multifunction button with the back, which is used to power the device on and off. Holding it will also activate Bluetooth pairing mode, and tapping it activates voice assistant while paired with your cell phone. Now in my testing, I used Google Assistant and it works pretty decently, recognizes my commands easily. One annoying thing though I noticed with Google Assistant is that when I press the button, I don't know it's listening. And the reason I don't know it's listening is because there's no tone to go doop doop. When Google makes that sound and okay, now I'm going to say my command. You just have to start speaking and it'll then take the command itself. A little weird. There is one indicator you can use, which is sometimes a little hard to tell, and that's when side tone turns on. Going back to the controls, the right ear cup has purely touch-based controls for everything else. Some of the primary controls consist of a single tap to play pause audio, swipe forward for next track, swipe back for previous track, swipe up for volume up, swipe down for volume down, and for phone calls, you can swipe forward to answer or swipe back to end the call. One cool control is that when you're listening to music and you have ANC on, if you double tap the center button, it'll quickly pause the music and turn transparency mode on so you can hear your surroundings, like say an airport announcement. One other passive control is, smart control, which basically allows you to wear your headphones and you're listening to content. When you take the headphones off, it'll automatically pause the content you're listening to. And when you put the headphones back on, the headphones will detect it and then resume playing your content. Now, when it comes to noise canceling technology, there are two modes advertised and available. One is ANC, active noise canceling, and one is transparency. So when it comes to traveling, this will be a great companion for you. The reason being is because when it comes to low humming noises, like in a car engine, for example, or a bus, whatever it may be, it's superb at canceling out that noise. It's almost a non-existent. So great for traveling, especially if you go on a plane, for example, as well. When it comes to vocals, it does a pretty good job. If I'm sitting in one room of the house and I have people talking in normal volume in another room right next door to me, I can almost not hear them at all. It sounds like very faint whispers, faint mumbled whispers, if that. I can barely hear it. If I'm sitting in the same room with someone else, maybe 5-10 feet away, and they're talking at normal volume, again, you can hear it, but it sounds just like mumbles. When it comes to someone standing next to you and they're yelling at you like the way my wife yells at me very often, pretty much every day, you can make out what they're saying. It just kind of sounds like it's behind a door, if you will. So ANC technology, top notch, fantastic. Not as good as a Sony XM5, but that is barely noticeable only because I have both to compare immediately. Honestly, if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't really tell that this is just slightly behind the Sony XM5s. Now, when it comes to transparency mode, which basically takes noise from your surrounding environment into the microphones and projects it into your ears so you can hear your surroundings easily, these are probably the best I've ever heard on any headphones that I've reviewed thus far. Better than the Sony XM5s and better than any Bose headphones for that matter as well. So typically other headphones, a premium brand that I've reviewed, they'll sound okay between 5 to 10 feet, and I think beyond 10 feet is hard to hear. The Momentum 4 is able to about 15-20 feet and it sounds better. It sounds like I'm not wearing headphones at all, let's put it that way. There is one catch though, there's no regular headphone mode. You can't just turn off all technology to extend the battery life. That feature doesn't exist. And I've researched this like crazy, and other people on Reddit forums have complained about this feature. Just put ANC in transparency mode dead center, and it sounds like you're not wearing any headphones. But it does not extend the battery of the headphones because it's still using that technology to run, unfortunately. And on that topic, let's talk about battery. Batteries advertised as having a whopping 60 hours with active noise canceling at volume at 50% from Sennheiser. That is a very bold claim and something that just blows out the competition of other premium headphones out of the water easily. And you know what? Their claim is pretty accurate. In my testing with ANC mode and volume a little higher than 50%, I averaged 57 hours. Very close to Sennheiser's claim. With full transparency mode maxed out, again, volume higher than 50%, 57 hours. Now you might be wondering, hold on a second. This guy averages almost 60 hours like Sennheiser. That's a lot of battery. Why was I complaining earlier that there's no regular headphone mode to use less battery? That's because you're paying a lot of money for these headphones. The simple fact of the matter is Sennheiser could include that in a firmware update and just have no technology being used for transparency or ANC mode, but they didn't. Now when it comes to recharging, Sennheiser advertises it takes about 2 hours to charge them. I actually average more like 2 hours, 20 minutes. A little higher than Sennheiser's claim, but we'll give it a pass because again, the 60-hour battery you get back in return is just nuts. A couple other things to mention about the battery which are really cool. As I mentioned earlier, if you use the USB-C cable, you can continue listening to music from your computer while they're charging. Another thing is that if you're using a wired setup, so if you're using auxiliary mode, the cable, and the battery's dead, you can still use it in wired auxiliary mode, which is pretty cool. Okay, so right now we're doing a microphone sample test. Everything you hear is from the Momentum 4 right now in a quiet environment. Then I'm going to replicate a noisy environment and compare it to my camera microphone so you can kind of judge for yourself how it sounds. And then we're going to replicate how the Momentum 4 compares when in a replicated windy environment. Okay, so now we're doing a noisy environment with my camera microphone. As you can tell, it doesn't sound that good. Switching over to the Momentum 4s, you see how it sounds to you. I'm going to actually stop talking for a few seconds to see what you think about it. And lastly, we're doing a wind test with the fan sitting about 5 feet away from me. You gotta judge for yourself what you think as to in blocking out wind noise. Okay, audio. This is what a lot of people are probably wondering about. Fantastic quality. Out of the box, you probably don't have to really adjust anything in the equalizer. With the flat profile out of the box, it is superb. Bass is punched up just slightly more. Nothing too annoying for non-bass enthusiasts, but you can notice it. Otherwise, highs and vocals, top-notch quality. I didn't really play with the equalizer that much during my testing because I found that the flat profile was just on the sweet spot. Very rare to find for most headphones. Now when it comes to playing with the equalizer and the bass, man, when you increase it up, you'll get like a thunderous punch into your skull in a good way. Sounds fantastic. There's also an extra button to increase the bass even further in the app, kind of reminiscent of Sony headphones. Now, the bass on these, they're not as good as the Sony XM5s. I'm not saying that these are bad. It's just that Sony XM5s, they're in a whole different category. Sony is very bass-centric. They've kind of mastered it. When it comes to increasing vocals, it can do a pretty good job, but that's very dependent on the song you're listening to. Some songs you just won't notice it at all, but the ones that you can notice super crisp, clear vocals, sound superb, without sacrificing any quality of the instrumental in the background. Now, when it comes to increasing highs, very strange. I wasn't expecting this. Not a bad thing. It will be increased, but not by a significant amount. You really have to listen to it, and there's a reason for this. Other headphones, I noticed, when you increase the highs a little too high, pun intended? No, that's a horrible joke. They can get a bit too sharp and piercing for my ears. This will increase the highs, but only to a point where it's bearable, which is a good thing. That's very rare to find. This is all a good thing. So these headphones do support aptX. That's right. A lot of headphones I've reviewed do not support it, but these do. They also support AAC and SBC. Sound overall on these are excellent. One of the best I've ever heard on any headphones. Okay, so diving into the app, let's start with connection management. And at the top, as I mentioned, you can choose between which of the devices you have kept in memory. And here's the 4 that I have currently. Going a little bit further, you can adjust what kind of sound profiles you want. You can have the equalizer here. And at the top, you'll notice that you can set the customized name. Here's a bass boost switch I was talking about earlier, kind of reminiscent of Sony headphones. And of course, the equalizer itself, you can play with it on the fly as you wish. Now, whatever you control in the equalizer here, even though it's in the mobile app, if you have a computer connected at the same time, whatever you adjust in the equalizer here will carry over to the computer connection, which is great to have. Going a little further, there's sound zones mode, which basically you can set GPS pinpoint locations and to activate certain transparency or ANC modes. Works pretty decent for the most part, but I deleted all of them because, well, I'm home 24/7 and I'm a hermit. I don't really go anywhere. So active noise cancelling or ANC mode, you can choose between full ANC mode, partial, or transparency mode. This is where you basically have the adjustments you can do. Adaptive is basically it'll adapt to turning ANC on or off based on your noise level. I find this to be more of a gimmick, to be honest. I'd rather just turn it off. It doesn't work that well, and that's usually the case with most other competing headphones. Side tone is basically allowing you to hear your own voice during a phone call, which is a great option to have. Discover is just a whole bunch of kind of advertised stuff from Sennheiser, if you will. And going over a little bit further is where you can update the firmware. Now, I had a major problem out of the box. Updating the firmware was a nightmare. I had 2 firmware updates the second I unboxed it. Each one said it would take about 12 to 15 minutes. Each one took over an hour. So updating firmware is a big pain in the butt with these headphones. You also have the ability to turn on higher resolution audio, which at the sacrifice of Bluetooth range, but that's okay for most people. And this is where you would turn on aptX mode. And of course, here you can adjust what does taking off the headphones do, putting them on and off. So headphone detection mode, which I mentioned earlier. And the rest is just other stuff like factory reset and what you want to see on a home page. Nothing too important. So here's the thing about the Momentum 4. You might have to get them. They're that good. When you talk about premium headphones, most people will go to the Sony XM5s. They'll go to Bose. Like, those are the go-to brand names. Sennheiser's been around for a long time in the audio business, and they deserve more love. Like, Momentum 4 are like one of the best headphones I've ever reviewed, especially this premium price bracket. They got a lot of great things going for it, hardly any cons, and that's pretty much it. So if you found this video useful, be sure to check out my social links and website link in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help, subscribe, and thanks for watching.